David, as I read through your impressive bio, one thing that caught my attention was the fact that you are a FAA trained flight instructor. I think you talk about the fact that the hostile environment there actually taught a lot about product management for you. So, can you just talk to me about how both of them are connected?
Yeah, well, as a flight instructor, you have to allow your students to make mistakes without killing you. And they typically learn more from making mistakes than from getting it right perfectly all the time. And that was one of the nice things about my experience working at Hewlett Packard and at Apple, is that both companies had a set of values, and they pretty much said work hard and it's perfectly okay to make mistakes, knowing full well that people will learn from those mistakes. The other thing that I learned as a flight instructor and as a pilot is that you have to learn how to juggle things all at the same time. It's sort of like they say flying a helicopter is like rubbing your tummy and patting your head at the same time. And so it was quite interesting when I started the flying club at the University of Michigan with a private pilot's license. A year or so later, I had enough hours and experience to get my flight instructor's rating to go out and teach people accelerated stalls and spins at 5,000 feet and to recover from them, and then have to go to an English class in the afternoon.
Okay, so that's quite a contrast to what you did in the morning and what you did in the afternoon.
Yeah, and as a pilot, you have to learn and understand aerodynamics, weather, um, uh, flying certain kinds of patterns like the aircraft landing pattern, the takeoff, and so forth. Reading charts, reading the sky, reading weather maps, predicting and forecasting the weather yourself, and then the behavioral things that if you lose your vision outside due to weather, for example, or it's nighttime and the ground is covered with fog, you can't see anything, it's all black. You have to learn how to fly the plane solely on the basis of the instruments, and to trust your instruments and not your physiological feelings. So a lot of things are combined in the art of flying. And the same thing is true of product management. The number one thing that a product manager, I prefer to call them the product success manager, has to do is to put together what I call the product market strategy or product market plan. And that consists of understanding what is it that the customer wants to do, why they want to do it, when they want to do it, where do they want to do it, how do they want to do it, how important is getting that thing done, and how satisfied are they with the current alternative ways of getting that done. And then adding into that things like use cases and problem scenarios, doing your market research, your competitive research, understanding where the technology is today and where it may be going in the future. And technology, by the way, is nothing more than the organization of knowledge for practical purposes. And if you organize it properly, that helps you do what's called innovation. And innovation is a sexy word today, like entrepreneur was about 10 years ago. Entrepreneur is just French for product success manager. And the innovation is just how do you do something faster, better, higher quality, or like in the case of an Apple Watch, with style. And frequently you use technology to accomplish that. You may update and change processes to accomplish that and so forth. So then you identify the personas in your product market strategy as to who you're going to be selling your product to. And that could be business to business or business to consumer. And with all of that together, you can then begin to identify your markets, your market size, your target markets, your total available market, and then develop the value proposition for your product. Why is it that someone should buy your product? And your product positioning, where does it sit in the state of mind of the customer? And take a look at the opportunity and risks, and bring to bear innovation. And now you have a list of product features advantages and benefits that map into the problems of what your customer, your persona wants to do. That together can then lay out your product roadmap, your potential for sales and return on investment, and your long-term product portfolio. About 2015, over 7,000 companies in India were funded by startup venture capital groups or angel investors. And according to my friend R.N. Prasad, who used to be VP of Infosys in product management training, just about all 7,000 of them failed. And I remember back in the early part of the last decade, up to roughly the present, most people in India were more concerned about the price of the product and could care less about the product market strategy. And as a result, 7,000 companies went out there, raised a lot of money, and all went out of business, or most went out of business, and lost those investments. Primarily because they failed to follow the 5 keys to product success that I teach, which is available at Lovely University, Professional University, and also at IIML as executive education programs based upon a book that I wrote that Wiley published in 2019. It's a short pamphlet on product success. It's only 796 pages long, and it's called a Product Success Toolbook and Product Management. And it's available on Amazon as an electronic version, or you can take those courses, those 7-month executive courses, and get a certificate in it. So I think as a result of those 7,000 or so failures, a lot of people in India have gotten a religion that there's 130 different competencies you really need to have in your organization to have product success. And you really need to get professional training in order to avoid losing your investors' money.
In this section, David makes a very interesting comparison and analogy between flying and product management. In his experience, he talks about the flying as a skill where one needs to look at various components. It could be the wind speed, it could be the weather, and sometimes you need to trust the instrument to take decisions. He says similarly in product management, there are about 130 competencies that one needs to look at, and he talks about a structured methodology on building a product market strategy. He says only when you build a structured product market strategy with various steps that he outlines that a product can be successful. And in his book, he identifies these 130 competencies, and he talks about the need to build skills and become an expert in those competencies.